Good morning, Year Fives, and welcome to your maths lesson. I hope that you've managed to have a nice, relaxing weekend. I know the sun was out, so hopefully you got to go outside and enjoy a bit of the sunshine. I know I did. It was lovely to have that feeling of warmth on my face again. So I hope you've had some time outside and you're ready for this last week of learning before you come back to us next week. So today we're going to be looking at our learning objective, which is to multiply fractions by another fraction. Now you're going to love this lesson today because it is so easy if you are paying attention and following. But for starters, we're going to be doing a bit of mixed arithmetic and going over some of those concepts that we've been looking at over the last couple of weeks. So if you'd like to pause the video now and try and answer those 5 questions in under 5 minutes. So off you go. Okay, so let's go through and mark it together. So the first one is a nice mental calculation. 6 times 3 is going to be 18. And then I count how many zeros they are. They are 2. So I simply add the 2 zeros. Right, then we have 3 eighths plus a quarter. Okay, so I'm just going to write it out as best as I can. Right, now this is a concept that we did the other day, so hopefully it's nice and fresh in your memory. We know that we need to have the same denominators, the same bottom number, okay? And I look at the biggest number, which is 8, and I say, can 4 go into 8? Yes, it can. So my bottom number is going to be 8, because I have to make my denominators the same in order to add or subtract my numerators. Right, once I've changed my denominators, I now need to make an equivalent fraction. So I say, what did I do to 8 to get 8? I didn't do anything. I simply times it by 1, so I'm going to leave the 3 the same. And what did I do to 4 to get 8? I said 4 times 2 is 8. So whatever I do to the one number, I need to do to the other. So 1 times 2 is 2. Now that my bottom numbers are the same, I can add my top numbers, and 3 plus 2 is 5, and I leave the bottom number the same, which is 8. So my answer is 5 eighths. Right, then we have a multiplication by 10. So I'm going to be shifting that number once to the left. So it's important that we write the number down. Ooh, that 6 went a little bit funky. Right. And I'm only going to be shifting my digits to the left once because I'm multiplying by 10, which only has 1 0. So I'm going to move my 5 up 1 space. I'm going to move my 6 up 1 space. I'm going to leave the decimal exactly where it is because the decimal never moves. And I move the 7 up 1 space. And my answer then is 56.7. Hopefully you got that right, 56.7. Right, here we have another fraction. 7 twelfths, and I'm subtracting a third. Right, now for starters, I need to make sure that my bottom numbers are the same, and my bottom numbers are not the same here. So I'm going to then look at the bigger number, which is 12, and I say, can 3 go into 12 equally? Yes, it can. It can go 4 times. So I'm going to make my bottom numbers twelfths. Right, now I say, what I do to 12 to get 12, I did nothing, so I'm going to leave the 7 the same. And what I do to the 3 to get 12, I times it by 4, so I'm going to times the 1 by 4, which is 4. And now that my bottom numbers are the same, I can simply subtract the top numbers, my numerators, and 7 minus 4 is 3. And I leave the bottom number the same. And a reminder that we do not simplify, okay? And the reason why we don't simplify is just to make sure that we don't make any mistakes, because you will be accepted with this answer if you give it. And if you simplify it and you make an error in your calculation, then you will not get it correct. You will not get the mark. Right, and our last one is a whole number, subtract a decimal. So I got my whole number, and I'm subtracting a decimal. So if they do not give me the decimal, I put it in for my whole number, and I put my 2 zeros afterwards as the placeholders, and I write exactly the same number underneath. Right, now I'm subtracting. So I say 0 minus 4 I can't do, so I need to go borrow. I'll have to go all the way here to the ones column, and That's still not going to help me, so I still need to borrow and regroup. Right, now I've got 10 minus 4 is 6. 9 minus 2 is 7. Bring down that very important decimal, and 7 minus 1 is 6. And there is my answer, 6.76. Right, hopefully you managed to get all of that correct, and you got 5 out of 5. Right, we're going to move on now to our big question. And because we're looking from fraction multiplied by fraction, I want you to think, when we multiply any two fractions together, do you think we're going to get an answer that is going to be smaller or greater? Do you think that is true, or do you think that is false? Do you think it's always going to get, the answer is always smaller than both the two fractions that I've given you? So what do you think, true or false? Right, I'm going to come back to this question because we're going to actually do the lesson, and then I want you to think about this big question as we're going through the lesson. And right at the end, I would like you to answer this question. So we'll come back to this right at the end after having a little think about it once I've gone through the work. Okay, so when we are looking at fraction multiplied by a fraction, okay, we're going to look at this one, for example, and we're going to use some pictures to help us to understand this concept. And then we're going to use our step to success to do it. And as I said, this is going to be super easy today, but I do want you to try and understand how we pictorially do it, how we do it in pictures. So for starters, I've got the sum a third times a quarter. Those are my two fractions that I'm multiplying together. So for starters, I'm going to show you that this is a quarter of a rectangle. I've taken my rectangle, I've divided it into 4 equal parts, and I've shaded one of them. So that is my quarter of a rectangle. But I want to know, what does a third times a quarter mean? So a third times a quarter simply means I have a third lots of a quarters, okay? Or I have a third of a quarter. Now that doesn't really make much sense still, so let's carry on with what that actually means and how we can look at it. So you will notice here are where my quarters, and now I've divided this shape, this rectangle, into thirds. Can you see that there? So I've taken that shape, and I had quarters. Here's my, if I do it in green, let's do this in green. Ignore the orange for now, but let's say I do this in green. There's my 1/4. There would be my other quarter. There is my other quarter. There are my 4 quarters that I have. And now I'm taking the same shape and I'm dividing it up into thirds. So there's my third, and there is my third. And so where these two overlap, can you see the green and the red both overlap in just this square only? I would then shade it, which has been shaded in orange. I'm just going to take this away for you. Okay. So what fraction are we left with? We're left with this 12th, okay, and that is the total of that area. So when we are having to find a fraction multiplied by a fraction, a very easy way to do it, and look how easy it is going to be. This is just, as I say, showing you pictorially, so showing you in pictures how I got that answer, but you do not need to use that method. You can use this method here, and look how simple this is going to be today. I simply multiply the top numbers and I multiply the bottom numbers together, and there is my answer. So I say 1 multiplied by 1 is 1, 3 times 4 is 12, and there is my 12th, okay? So have a think now, back to that big question. Do you think that when I multiply two fractions together, that they are going to be smaller than each of these fractions? What do you think? Do you think this answer is smaller than the quarters and thirds? And hopefully now you can see quite clearly that it would be yes, okay? This 12th here is going to be much smaller than a third or a quarter, because remember, the bigger the bottom number gets, the smaller the piece is getting. Okay, and there you can see it in the picture that we've colored in for you, that this orange piece here is much smaller than the quarters or the thirds that we have divided it into. Right, so let's look at our steps to success. First of all, I'm going to multiply the numerators. So this is step 1, 1 times 2, and I'm going to write it out fully here for you. 1 times 2 equal to 2. And then I multiply the denominators. Let's circle that. And I'm going to say 3 times 6, which is 18. Now, step number 3, we used to say simplify the fraction, but nowadays we don't need to simplify the fraction because they will give us this answer. So, we're not drawing a circle. I'm going to take that away, see if this will work. Nope, that's not working. Let's go back. So do not simplify the fraction, okay? Leave it like that, all right? We could simplify this fraction, but as we've said before, if we simplify it and we make an error, we will get the answer wrong and we will get our calculation then wrong. So all I'm wanting for you to do today is multiply the top numbers and multiply the bottom numbers and then leave that fraction. Do not simplify and make it smaller, okay? So that is all you have to know for today. All right, so those are your just 2 steps to success today, which is nice and simple. So let's see if you can now have a go at doing these. So I'm just going to take that bottom one away, and it's not 3 simple steps, it's only 2. Let's just take that away. So can you now quickly on your piece of paper pause the video and work out those 3 fraction by fraction questions for me? So multiply the top number, multiply the bottom number, do not simplify it. Off you go. Right, let's see how you did. So let's go together. 1 times 4 is 4, and 4 times 5 is 20. Nice and easy. Look how easy it is today. Okay, hopefully you've got a big smile on your face and you're feeling really positive about your fractions today. Right, number 2, 3 times 5 is 15, and 5 times 7 is 35. The only trick today is making sure that you know your tables, because this is where you're going to struggle if you do not know your tables. 1 times 6 is 6, and 2 times 11 is 22. Nice and simple. Make sure you've done those with me, and all you have to do, multiply the top numbers, multiply the bottom numbers, and leave it. Do not simplify. Right. Now we get a little bit more challenge where we have missing numbers. So now I've got to say 3 times something is going to give me 6. So 3 times 2 is going to give me 6. And 5 times what will give me 25? 5 times 5. Okay, so 2 and 5 are going to be my answer. 2/5. Right, let's have a look at this one together. 2 times what is 2? 2 times 1. And 4 times what is 8? 4 times 2. So my answer there is going to be a half. So you try and do now this one at the bottom. 3/10 times what gives me 6/50. So pause the video and have a go now at going through that on your own. Super. Hopefully you were like, this is so easy, Miss Fink. I'm loving maths today. So 3 times 2 is 6, and 10 times 5 is 50. So easy. Okay, so those are what you're going to be doing today in teams. The only thing I'm going to say is that when you write your answers, just a reminder that the computer has to match up your answers to exactly mine, which doesn't mean yours is wrong. So please just try your best putting an answer in, and I will look at it in the afternoon when I give feedback, and I will go through your answers. So please don't stress if you look and you think you've got it all wrong. Remember, the computer just checks it, and some children do it the same way as me, which is great because then they just get the answers. And that doesn't mean that you've got it wrong. You will notice that you more than likely have got it correct. It's just how you've answered it. The only thing I'm going to say though is when we do have the ones with the missing numbers, like we had with the challenge earlier. So let's say I'm going to have a very easy one here. Right, times. And let's say we have something like this. And let's say we have 5 here. And let me have a missing number here. Let's put 10, nice and easy. Right, I have said, I just put an and between the two numbers. So I'd say 1 times 5 is 5, and then 5 times 10 is 50. So how I have written my answers, I have put an and between them. So my answer that I have given would look something like this on the computer system, 5 and 50. Okay, so if you're wanting to write like that, then hopefully it'll match it up correctly. But if you don't and you just write 5 and you leave a space and you write 50, it's obviously not going to match up exactly because I've written the word and. It doesn't mean you are wrong. Okay, please be mindful that I will go through all of this afternoon, and I will go and look at all your answers, and I will give you feedback. And if I need to change the marks, I can. So today you're going to be seeing 8 fluency questions, which is the questions that we've done now together. There is one word problem where you simply have to multiply the 2 fractions together. And then there's one area question, and we have done perimeter and area before, and hopefully you can remember what area is. If you read the question very, very carefully, I have given you a hint there of how to work out the area of a rectangle. So hopefully that will jog your memory a little bit. But I'm not going to go through it now because we have done area before and I have given you a hint. So I want you to read your question carefully because you will see there in the question, it tells you how to work out the area. And that is all from me today. I will put steps to success in the files for you. Hopefully it's so easy that you won't even need to refer it. Times the top number, times the bottom number. Happy days. Have fun, enjoy, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Bye, guys.